Hello, Husker Nation. It is Nathan. I am the Angry Husker, and I am here to give you my take. First of all, sorry it's been so long since my last video. Got back from vacation in Florida. Took a couple days to get settled back in, and this week has just been crazy for me. Really been feeling all that well. Work's been kind of nuts. So sorry about not getting a video in, giving my reaction to the bowl season thus far. That being said, let's talk about that real quick. What a bowl season it's been for the Big Ten. Now I know the overall record, it's good but not great, but the Big Ten won in the games that mattered the most. Starting off with Michigan State beating Baylor with an epic finish, blocking a field goal, then driving downfield to finish off the Bears. An absolutely amazing game, incredibly entertaining. A great win for the Big Ten. Michigan State finally puts away that myth that they can't beat good teams. They beat a very good Baylor team. And a big part of it might have been because Michigan State was glad to be there and Baylor was feeling peeved about being left out of the playoffs, but that's the way it goes sometimes. Sometimes you don't get your way and you got to show up and prove that you deserve to be in the playoffs. And Baylor just didn't do that. Michigan State played a hell of a game. Good on them for representing the Big Ten. After that, Wisconsin, in an equally entertaining game, beats up on Auburn. Who saw that coming? This guy, not to brag, but I did see Wisconsin beating Auburn in a barn burner in a very close matchup. Now, I did think Michigan State was going to beat Baylor by a lot more than they did. That didn't turn out to be true, but I did call the Michigan State win. And then the Ohio State Buckeyes somehow managed to pull off a victory over Alabama. That one I did not see coming. I did not see that happening. It was an amazing game. I loved every second of it. You should have jumping up and down, cheering for joy at what I saw. That was just an amazing game, and it came on the heels of a less than impressive performance by the Florida State Seminoles. Yeah, I kind of saw that one coming. Florida State had been teetering on disaster the entire year, and all it took was one good team to knock them in their teeth. Florida State, better off next year. Jameis Winston did not have a great game. That one play where he just fell over, fumbled the balls right into Oregon's hands, it was a microcosm of what was wrong with that game. Florida State was just outmatched in every way. And speaking of Jameis Winston, I gotta talk about him declaring for the NFL draft here for a minute, because my dad and my brother, who you both saw in my video from back home, both were of the opinion that Jameis Winston was definitely coming back to play his senior season at FSU, and I was trying to talk some sense into them, telling them there's no way it could happen, going as far as to guarantee that Jameis Winston will come out of college and go pro for this next season, and no one wanted to listen to me. So this isn't a gloat, but there's really no. But here's the reason why Jameis is coming out. There is no reason for him to stay in college. He's gonna be a top 5, top 10 draft pick, as is this year. Alright, if you stay in another year, there's no guarantee you're going to go that high again. He might be the number 1 pick overall. He might be the number 1 quarterback pick. Personally, I would take Mariota over Winston, because I think maturity and mental toughness has a lot more to do with success at the quarterback level in the NFL than pure physical talent. Johnny Manziel, anybody? Jay Cutler, anybody? But regardless of which quarterback goes first, Jameis Winston is going to be a top 5, at the very least top 10 draft pick this year. All right, there's no reason for him to stay in college. Take the money while it's there, guaranteed. There's too many teams in the NFL that need quarterbacks right now. Tampa Bay, Jacksonville, Miami. Hell, I'll throw Cleveland in there because I don't think Johnny Manziel is going to work out for them. There's just too many. It's all about supply and demand. All right, there's a huge demand of quarterbacks and a very tiny supply of them. Mariota and Winston are the only real quarterbacks coming out of the college ranks this year that look like they can have a big impact on the pro level. That's a very short supply with a huge demand of quarterbacks. All right, there's a ton of teams out there that need quarterbacks, and that's why it was the smart move for Jameis to get out. Now, personally, I don't think Jameis is the hot pick everyone seems to think he is. Like I said, I think mental maturity and mental toughness has a lot to do with the success of an NFL quarterback. Look at all the great quarterbacks playing in the league right now. Your Mannings, your Bradys, your Rodgers, those type quarterbacks, your Lucks, what do they all have in common? They're not divas. They don't do stupid things off the field. You don't go out and read about Tom Brady stealing crab legs from Publix. Now, I realize that Jameis Winston's a young guy, but this kind of mental maturity is what you develop as a young person. And this has been a systemic problem with Jameis Winston for the past 2 years now. It's not like one mistake. No, it's mistake after mistake after mistake, and that shows a lack of maturity with him. Now, do you want to take a risk on a guy like that? His physical capabilities are certainly there. I'm not denying that. But, I see a lot of Johnny Manziel in this guy. I'm sorry. If you take Jameis Winston, I would say sit him on the bench for a year or two. Make damn sure that he's not embarrassing your program. Because he's going to be the face of your program once he starts. You want to make sure that he's going to be in there and he's not going to embarrass you. Like Johnny Manziel. Don't throw him to the Wolves. Because I think Johnny Manziel could work out in the NFL. But they throw him to the Wolves too early. And people are going to demand change after a little while. It's unfortunate, but that's the way it goes sometimes. Alright, now, away from that, here's some news that Nebraska fans like. And before you ask me, I'm not really gonna do a comment video on the new coaching staff that Nebraska's hired. I think it's interesting. There's not a lot of sexy pics on there, but I'll be straight with you. I don't know who a lot of these guys are. I just don't. How many of you guys are experts on assistant coaches? Let me guess, none of you. Unless you do this for a living, you're not an expert on assistant coaches. And I don't think that you can really judge whether or not these are good or bad hires until you see the product on the field. So I'm going to reserve my judgment on that until we see the product on the field next season. Now, guess what? Tim Beck, offensive coordinator for Nebraska, former offensive coordinator, has been hired at The Ohio State University by Urban Meyer to be their co-offensive coordinator. Now, this is a very interesting move. I know a lot of fans hated Tim Beck at Nebraska, hated the work he's done, hated his play calling capabilities, and his inability to develop quarterbacks was plain to see. And it's very odd that he's also being hired as a offensive coordinator / quarterbacks coach, because in his time at Nebraska, who did he really develop as a quarterback here? Taylor Martinez, definitely not. Tommy Armstrong may have regressed this season as opposed to getting better. And who else? Who has Tim Beck been coaching here that we can look at and see, that's Tim Beck's quarterbacks. That's the guy that he developed to be the leader of a football team. It's very strange because he really hasn't done that. You know? Tim Beck hasn't really been a quarterbacks coach. He hasn't developed our quarterbacks, and it is strange that they would hire him in that role. Now, there were things about Tim Beck's offense that I liked, and I really loved the job he did in the bowl game against USC. I really loved it, and I'm really going to miss his diamond formation most of all. To me, I love the diamond. It's like an inverted wishbone. It's like the wishbone for the 21st century. All right, I loved it. I thought it was amazing, and I really got madder when we got away from that. I loved it. Why didn't we see a lot more of that? Now, I will say this. If Tim Beck succeeds at Ohio State, it really will be an indictment on Bo Pelini. Because Tim Beck was complaining about having handcuffs on him. How Bo Pelini would slap the handcuffs on his offense and make the team too reliant on the defense, which couldn't get teams off the field. And we saw a bit of that in the bowl game. Tim Beck's offense did an amazing job. It gave USC a lot of looks. So if Tim Beck leaves Nebraska, goes to work for Urban Meyer, and they have an instant success, then that would be an indictment of Bo Pelini. I think that would shed light on that. I think that would prove what he said was true about having handcuffs put on him by Bo Pelini. And as much as people, and I don't want to hear people, if they have a lot of success over there, go, oh, see, we shouldn't have fired him. No. You do not hire and fire coordinators. Coaches do that. The head coach hires and fires coordinators. All right? And if Bo Pelini had hired a great coordinator and then immediately slapped the handcuffs on him so that he couldn't do his thing, then that's a problem. Then you can't have a head coach like that. And you can't fire a head coach and keep the coordinator. No, the new staff is going to have to bring in their own guys. That's just the way of it. So if it's not an indictment on Nebraska if Tim Beck goes out to Ohio State and succeeds there. It's just not. It's an indictment of Bo Pelini for putting the handcuffs on him in the first place. All right, enough of that. Down to the subject at hand, the national championship game being played tonight in Texas. Ohio State versus Oregon, the first real national champion. And let me say, isn't it refreshing to have this game instead of what we would have had in the BCS system? See, under the BCS system, this would be Alabama versus FSU. That would be the national championship game. Because FSU would be undefeated and Alabama's out of the SEC. And God knows the SEC always gets a team in there no matter what. That's the game we would have had. FSU versus Alabama. The two teams that were eliminated from the semifinals would have been playing for the national championship game under a BCS system. And the first year in the new playoffs, we get a true national championship game. Oregon versus Ohio State. Now, is it a perfect playoff? No. But it's a damn sight better than what before. Damned better. And I am so psyched for this football game. Now, who do I think is going to win? You know what? The more I think about it, I think a lot of the smart money seems to be going Ohio State's favor. And the big reason why is Urban Meyer. He's been here before. He's won here before. He is a mastermind of getting his players give the absolute maximum effort. See, that's the key. And I am done. I am done talking about Ohio State's third string quarterback. No. No. They can bring out their water boy, and I will give him the same respect that I gave Braxton, that I gave freaking Pryor. All right. Ohio State quarterbacks, forget the depth chart. Just throw any one of them out there at any time, and they will play fantastically. That's the magic of Urban Meyer. That's what he's able to do. Throw any quarterback out there, and they will perform amazingly. So I don't want to hear people talking, oh, they're on the third string quarterback. They beat Alabama on the third string quarterback. All right, guys. So I might just be Big Ten homing right here because my brain is telling me to pick Oregon, but I want Ohio State. Give me Ohio State. Give me Urban Meyer. Give me Urban Meyer in the win. This game is going to go into the 40s. I'm going to say 45-41. Ohio State over the Ducks. Go Big Ten. All right. That's it for me. I know it's been a long video. I talk about a lot of subjects, but I have a game to watch. So I will see you all after the game. This is Nathan. This has been my take. You have a good one. Go Big Ten.